Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa. Today I am coming to you with a new pocket thing that I thought of. I actually dreamt about it a bit and figured it out in my head. I'm like, that could work. So I've been playing around with it today and I got it to work. I think it is very cool. Not too complicated. A few steps that might be a little bit tricky, but totally doable. So basically it's out of 12-inch wide paper, or even a little wider. I have another example, it's a little wider. I have tried it with 8.5 by 11. It's a little sketchy. It could work, but it's a little small. So the 12 by 12 papers are better, as well as huger book pages are better, and I'll show you those. So the pockets are, I did use double-sided here. I was able to stick some of my tall tags in that I made before. These are like 3 inches wide. The pockets are about 3.5, so fit comfortably, 3-inch tags. And then I've got 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 tags that fit in a little side pocket in here. It doesn't go all the way through. It's stuck. It's meant to go on the side as a little accent piece. And then a little baby tuck in the front here. Also, about 1 3/4 for that one. Same with this one. The difference is this one is 6 inches tall on 12-inch, and this is, I think 8.5, 8 inches, 8 inches tall on a 12-inch paper. So we have a tag that goes in there, a little shorter. I've got, again, another skinny tag. I use one of those Tim Holtz strippets, strips, making up words, strippets. It's a strippet. That goes in, that can fit into here. Again, just a tiny little tag, and then I have my tall tag, again, also in there. So, let me put this away, let me get the stuff ready, and I will show you how I made these fun pockets. All right, I am here with a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper. It is thinner paper, like this, only one-sided, from Hobby Lobby paper pen. But what I did on this is I actually glued 2 together. I'm just a tad bit off, but I think I could probably trim it or just give it a little, depending where it shows, give it a little coloring. Not all the sides are going to show, but let me tell you, it's not the easiest thing in the world to put 2 12 by 12 papers glued together. But I did pretty good, I think. So if you do have double-sided 12 by 12, that'll work. One of my examples that I had 12 by 12 paper in it. I don't know, I think I got it out of this one, but like this would work, 2-sided. But I do have already some darker ones that I did for my examples. So I wanted to have something, not that this is much brighter, but a little bit different. Okay, so we're gonna start with 12 by 12 paper. Now the 2 examples I had, one was 6 inches and one was 8 inches. So since I don't think I'm gonna use the 4 inches for anything else, I'm gonna cut this to 6 inches, just to make it so I have, did it cut through? No. Make it so I have 2 of them, because I can fold them different ways and have them look different. Okay, but we'll just do 1 for now. All right. Well, they actually were 12. Sometimes those 12 by 12 pads are not exactly 12 by 12. So, okay, so we are going to start with the side that we want to go, what you want to call it, on the outside, facing down, because we're going to fold stuff in for it. So I'm going to get my scoreboard. Okay, so with 12 by 12 papers, you're going to score from each side at 2.5. Now 2.5 is going to give you the 2-inch, 1 3/4 inch pockets when we do the fold over, and 2.5. Okay. All right, so we're gonna fold those at the score marks. this one. I've lost my better bone folder. I don't know where it went to. I have to track it down. This one's not the best. Okay. All right, so we've got them folded, bone folded. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the two ends and fold them so they meet. Now the reason that I do it that way is because, I mean, I could have definitely, this is going to be where it was folded in half exactly to begin with at the 6-inch mark. But if you're doing a bigger piece of paper, like in a bit I'll show you how I did it from a book page, which was almost 15 inches, it's hard to know where it's going to end up folding. So doing the 2.5 on each end and then folding it, you know exactly where it is correctly meeting. Okay, so there is the beginning of it. Now here comes the little bit-ish, not really tricky, but sort of tricky. All right, so you're gonna figure out which is the top and which is the bottom, and this looks pretty good. All right, so we're gonna mark 2.5 inches from the bottom. 1, 2.5. This is where we're gonna cut from, and the same on the other side. This is the bottom, so 1, 2, 2.5. It doesn't have to be exact, but and actually, I think we're gonna do the back 3. So ignore that. So the side that's gonna be on the front, we're gonna mark a 2.5. The side that's gonna be in the back, we're gonna mark as 3. Okay, now we are going to cut the angles we have here. So, where's my mark? There's my mark. Okay, so you can cut with scissors if you feel comfortable cutting with scissors, but I don't necessarily. So the side that's going to be the front, that is 2.5 inches, we're going to cut from the mark that I did 2.5 to the fold. So you're going to cut through the two panels. Hope that makes sense. All right, so, okay, probably save that for something. Okay, so when it gets folded, you can see that's how it's going to end up being. Angled, the front pocket, side pocket. So you want to do the two. Now for the one that's in the back, it's not really the back, it goes on the inside, this piece, you only want to cut through the one panel. Because if you cut through the two panels, then your back part's gone and that's no good. All right, so we're going to find the first fold, and we're going to find the 3-inch mark, and we're going to chop that off. Okay. Now the only reason I changed that from 2.5 to 3 is because then the angle is less angular, I guess you could call it. I could have probably even done it at 4, so it's more even to this point, but I do like the fact that it's kind of offset a little bit. So, okay. All right, so we're gonna get the cutter out of the way. This is still not my good bone folder, but it's better than that other one. I see that. I see that this is not quite folded properly on the bottom. That's a little better. Okay, yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so that is all the cuts we need on those. So I will show you the cuts one more time on the other half of it so we can kind of get a little bit more practice on how that goes. Oops. All right, bone folder fell. Okay, so here is the other half of the one, and like I said, we'll do it so it's opposite, so that the it'll just be opposite. Okay, so the first one we're gonna do, first side we'll do is 2.5, and we'll mark that. And the second side we'll do again 2.5. Dun dun dun. Okay. scoreboard out of the way. Try to get this to line up straight. Okay, so again, once you've got your 2.5 and 2.5, whatever size width you have, you're going to take them and make them meet so that it is square, not square, but squared up on the side. Okay. All right, so if I want the blue on the inside, we're going to go this way. Okay. All right, so all right, I'm going to make this be going that way. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. I want it to go the other way, so the flap is coming from the other direction. So, okay. So this will be the front. I'm still going from the same direction. Okay, we'll go that way. There we go. Oh my gosh, just turned it upside down. Seriously. Okay. So the one that's in the front, we're going to do at 2.5 inches. I'm just going to cut to there. So basically, like I said, we're going to cut till we get to that point, like there. And then the back side, we will do it at the 4. Well, let's do 3.5 because I did 3 on the last one. Let's do 3.5. I'll show you how it's a little less of an angle at that one. So, okay, so if, like I said, if you want to do your scissors, you can. All right, so this is going to be the front facing that way. So we want to go that way. So we're going to go from my little line, and we're going to aim for that top fold. Boom. Okay, not too bad. All right, and then this back one, we're just going to do the first panel, and we're going to do one cut like that. So that is going to go like that. So you can see it's not much of a difference. It's just a little bit slightly from 3.5 to 3. But like I said, we got two different pockets from one 12 by 12 sheet of paper because we flipped it. Maybe not as easily as we could have, but we flipped it to make it go the other way. All right, so to the glue. And I think I'm just gonna edge just so slightly. Get rid of that white. All right, so if you like to ink, do it now because it's it gets a little harder as it gets glued together. So I'll just throw a little ink on this one. Bum, bum, bum. I think I did that already. And then on one of them, I did do a notch for a pocket. If you want to do a notch, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little notch on this one. Do it upside down so I can see. Shoots at me. I'll throw that on there. This has a little bit of fun to it. So, okay. Now for the gluing part. Okay, so we're going to start with our inside flap. Now, like I said, this inside part ends up becoming a tag. So we have to glue it eventually in here and down. But to start with, this flap, we are only going to glue the bottom. And the reason we only want to glue the bottom and not up the side is because that becomes part of this back tag. It goes, John, this is a big one, this whole back tag in the center, so we don't want to have that glued in. Are you following me? I hope you are. Okay. All right, so this is probably not the most trickiest, but a few places where you have to glue. So we're going to want to glue down here because we want this to become its own little pocket, and we're going to want to glue this down. So I'm going to just put the thinnest bead going this way down that side, and then for the pocket I'm going to fold over. I'm going to do like you normally do, where you do a side and we do a bottom. You can go if you want farther, but this basically is going to cover that, and we are gonna fold that over. So really not too bad. Okay, and then this top one we are going to glue like any other flap. We're going to glue the outside and the bottom. Okay, and there it is. So we will glue the second one, so we can do that one more time, because it's not your most traditional kind of folds and flaps, but yeah, it works. Okay, so once again, we are going to start with the inside back flap, and all we are going to do is glue down the bottom. We don't want to glue the inside opening. And I didn't ink this, but that's okay. We don't have to ink every single one, do we? Well, we kind of do, but you can go back and ink afterwards if you want to. Just easier to do beforehand, but you don't have to see me ink twice. Okay, so for the second step, we are going to, now this is a little bit longer, so we're going to glue this flap just here so it encloses this pocket, and then we're going to go from here and here. All right. Okay. Okay, and then the last flap is going to be here in the bottom. Oh, geez, move. Got a big blubber right in there. Okay, so there we have two of them. Opposites attract, one inked, one not, two sides. So we're going to put these aside to dry for a moment, and I'm going to show you how I did the book page one, which is a little bigger. Just get this glue for a second out of the way. Okay, so I started with one of the Edith Holden books that is 15 and a half-ish, right? Or no, almost 14 inches. So it's wider than the 12 inches. So I knew it would work. Now the only thing is these are taller. These are about 9 inches. So I know that in most journals that I make, their papers are 8.5. So I like to make them about 8. So I found one page, and I was able to, I had the double spread, and I cut it down on the top down to 8 inches and still had some room. So now since this is bigger, I did do slightly different measurements on it just because I had a little bit more room. This pocket ended up being 4 inches wide, whereas these end up, the 12 by 12 papers end up being about 3.5. So I had a little bit more room to play with. So the first scores I did, and you can see I kind of folded it once, I did to it, is at 3. Did that side at 3 and that side at 3. So I took my full sheet of paper, and we're going to score at 3 and 3 like we normally did. Okay? And then on these, I marked them at 2.5 instead of the 2, and 2.5. Just again, just a little bit bigger. Did the side I wanted to be front from the 2.5 through the two papers to the corner, and did this one from the 2.5 up into the first page. So we're going to have the normal. Now this one, I originally had it going the other way. And this, if you have something pretty like this, you might have to, or something double-sided, you might have to kind of play with it and see which side you like better. Now I didn't mind this in the front, but it really kind of cut the flower off and that, so I wasn't too thrilled with it. So I reversed it, which is what's nice about this, is you can reverse it, and I thought this was much nicer. The flower, flower, and flower. Okay? So just like the 12 by 12 papers, we are going to, here we go. So we're going to, glue the bottom. We're going to glue the bottom of this one. Almost was on the second step. All right, we're going to glue the bottom. And then we're going to now glue that to close it in. And then the front flap will go down the side and that. Oh, I did it wrong. All right, tissue. Silly Lisa. Should have been folded under. That's what threw me off because that's the front flap. Okay, so we're gonna go, we did that side and we're gonna do this side and the bottom. All right, that's much better. This has glue all over my cutting board. All right, and then now the front flap, we're just gonna do that and the bottom. Okay. Okay, so there is the big one. And again, we have, be able to, this one we'll be able to get bigger tags to go in there because it's 4 inches. But nice tall tags can fit in there. And for these side ones, definitely bigger ones can go in there. And then taller, here's a taller one. Taller ones, there we go, we'll be able to go in there. Oh, cute, very cute, I love them. Fun, fun, fun. So, so there is, now this one I probably would not glue down because it is so cute on both sides. But these I definitely would glue down. And if I wanted to just glue the 3 corners and have a sort of something that you can do a side tuck from, that would be another way to get some more use out of those. All right, so one last version I'm going to show you as I have a craft-a-land here with my cutter. There we go. These are the 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper that I was trying to get to work. So, same process. Oops. For them. I did glue this one, and it ended up being approximately 3 1/4, which is not awful. Like I said, these are about 3 1/2, so they're just slightly smaller than that. So being 3 1/4, you can still fit some tags in there. Where I kind of had the issue, and not really an issue, was were these tiny spots here. I mean, they could definitely fit something in there. This is an inch and a half strip, so you can do an 1.5 inch tag for that. This one ends up being a little bit smaller, but an 1.5 inch tag does fit in there, and it's only smaller because you are gluing the inside spot is gluing all 3 sides, whereas this fold over really only has this side glued in. This is a fold, so it's just a hair bit bigger because there's no glue on there. So you can fit something in there. You can fit a tiny tag in there, and then a bigger one in there. So you definitely can do it with the 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. I cut them all already, which I probably didn't have to do, but for these, instead of the 2.5 inch folds, for the front, I did it at 2 inches. And for the back, I did it at 2.5. And the reason I did that is to give this pocket just a hair bit more room on those. So let's, let me get another sheet of paper. I will cut that and show you how that one ends up being and gluing it. So I will be right back because I got to track one down. Okay, I tracked down another 8.5 by 11. What I did was take a regular scrapbook sheet of paper and I backed it with one of my tie-dyed papers. I did ink around the edge with some red because when you tie-dye coffee dye papers, they shrink a little bit. Even though you start with an 8.5 by 11 copier paper, they do shrink a little. So I had a bit of white showing. So I have inked that to make it go a little bit less visible. I probably will end up cutting this down a little bit because since it's 8.5, when it goes into a journal, it's probably a little tall. But I'm going to wait until after I get it folded so I get a nice crisp edge on it, top and bottom. So, all right. So for the 8.5 by 11s, we're going to do them, like I said, just slightly different because of how because they're less wide. So normally on these other ones that we were doing, the 12 by 12s, we were scoring at 2.5 inches. But for the paper, these, we're going to score the front just at 2. Because, whoops, right out of the groove. Because I am fine with this little tag being a little bit smaller. In the front to put a little ticket or something in there. So I'm fine with that being just a tad smaller. I don't want to compromise this one in the back because they get too tall and skinny, they look weird to me. So, all right, so we're going to put the first one at 2 and the second one we're going to do like the normal 2.5. Okay. Now, of course, the scoreboard is just a tad not wide enough. So, there we go, finish the bottom. Okay. All right, so we're gonna fold that in. And the bigger side. So we know that this, get this out of the way. We know that this is gonna be the inside pocket. So again, we're gonna take these and we're just gonna meet them edge to edge so we know how big the back is. Now if you do the 2 and 2.5, this ends up being just 3 1/4, so you probably get about a 2.5 inch tag going in there comfortably after it gets glued and folded. But you could tell when you make your own, see what fits. Okay, so I've lost my pen. There it is. Okay, so for the since these are taller, I'm not going to do the 2 like we did these, where they're 2.5 inches up for the 6. This way, the 2.5. I'm going to do 3 and 3.5 for these. So the one that's going to be in the back, I'm going to go 3.5 up, so it's less of a slant. And for this one, I'm going to do to 3. So from the bottom, we're going to do 3, and for this one from the bottom we're going to do 3.5. Okay, now I can cut it with scissors. I'm going to cut it once again with the slant one just to show you how it's done. We're going to go to this, this is the back one, so we're going to just cut off the one panel. We're going to find the fold. I'll put that by the slicer and put that by the slicer and get rid of that. I'm gonna have to get my ink back out. Didn't think about that. Okay, I used aged mahogany, by the way. So let's switch that out and we'll ink it after I'm done cutting. Okay, so we're gonna do this side, and this one is gonna go from the mark at 2.5 to this fold, get through 2 panels for that. Okay, cutters away. Okay, so I think this is hidden. I don't know if it's really necessary to do, but I'm gonna do it. Okay. All right. Okay, fold and fold. All right, so this ends up being, like I said, just about 3 1/4. So it is enough to put a nice tall skinny tag in there. This is what, a 3-inch? Yeah, these are 3-inch tags. So it's no problem. It's just like I said, when we get to these, they're a tad bit skinnier. But these, I'll get it glued in and we'll show you. I think I'm gonna just, this one in the front kind of bothers me when it's off. So we're just gonna, there, that's better. Really didn't take that much off. And I'll go through, and after we glue them, I'm gonna snip the top and the bottom off a little bit just to make them even after they're glued, because sometimes they shift. So okay, one last gluing and we will have this down pat. Okay, all right, so for the inside bigger pocket, we're just doing the bottom. Okay, I'll keep that whole thing open. All right, so for this one, we are gonna glue here to lock in that pocket, and we're gonna glue down this side, and whoops, off the paper, and on the bottom to close in the middle pocket. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, and then for the front pocket, we're just gonna do side, and I'll go up just a little bit because I have a feeling I'm gonna cut that off and it's gonna be open. Okay. All right, cutter man. Okay, so we're just gonna make that nice and even, ever so slightly, and just taking a hair off, just to make that maybe a little more, maybe 2 hairs. And it's probably too wet, but we worked it out. It cooperated enough. Okay. Okay. This kind of is either a Valentine-y or Christmas. We haven't quite figured it out yet, but I guess if that gets glued on, it's no big deal. Okay, I was gonna trim that a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so there is the tall ones. Like I said, we can get easily stick these 1 1/2 inch strips in there, and a little short, but this is, I think, a 2 inch, 1 3/4. So this is a 1 3/4, and it fits in there. And like we showed earlier, the 3 inch fits in there without a problem. So lots of tall, skinny stuff. This is probably a little, yeah, it's a little too wide for that one, but it does fit in that one. So there you go. Fun. And then you get all that decorating you can do on that side or this side. Yeah, fun stuff. So, all right. Let me clean this up and I will be right back with the ones that we finished. All right, so we have some finished product here. So I started out showing you the 2 of them that I had done and decorated with the tags. Probably, like I said, throw a little more decoration here. Throw some up the side would work also. And then we went and Did 2 from the 12-inch scrapbooks, double-sided papers glued together, reversing them so we have 2 different varieties. Very handy. Coordinates. Yep, and then we went through and did the book page, which is going to be very cute when I finally get some stuff put in there. Since it's a little wider, 15, we're able to have the bigger pockets in there, so that's going to come in very handy. And then I did the 8.5 by 11s, which ends up being, like I said, a little skinnier, but they definitely work. You can definitely stick some stuff in there, be it smaller, but it will work. I did go through and glue the rest of them just to have them handy for the future. Didn't ink any of them, just have them glued together, ready to go, ready to be decorated. So they'll be going in my to-do book. So I've gotten those nice and simple ones. And then as I was cleaning up, I found a book page, or I'm sorry, a map page. This was 12 inches wide. It was a little taller. It was about 10 inches tall. So I was able to cut it down to just a little over 8, getting the top and bottom borders for it. But nice black and white. This would be great to decorate for stuff like that. But since it's a 12, it definitely has a little bit more room in there to be able to put some pieces in there, some tags in there to decorate. Yeah, fun. So. All right, well, that is it for today. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. It does make sense after you start gluing them all together, a little bit of practice, and you really can make it any size you want. The smallest I would do would be the 11 inches, like the scrapbook paper or the copy paper, but things closer to 12, book pages that are bigger than 12, up to 14, 15, work great for this. So it's got a lot of leeway to make different sizes. A little shorter, a little taller. Yeah, fun time. So, all right, well, if you have any questions about this, leave a comment below. I will definitely be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding this. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so you can see future videos like my to-do book where I'll be decorating these, finishing up my bee journal, as well as I have another folded pocket that I have in the works that I'm trying to get perfected before I show it on camera. And if you like the video, a thumbs up would be great. Helps promote it to other people in the junk journal world so they can see this fun pocket. So. As for me, that's going to be it for today. And as usual, have a wonderful and creative day. Bye now.